can have a similar performance.
Yeah, the combination between Kroll and Celeste is absolutely insane. From Hell's Heart, followed up by a core collapse. It's a ton of crowd control on whatever target they choose. And it's so hard to get to a Celeste through a Kroll that's going to be very difficult. Wolves Esports tried to do it with the Reza in the series previously, were unsuccessful. This time, though, Salty Potatoes do have the Lyra, and she's going to be able to use that Arcane Passage, go directly on top of Celeste, allow Reza to save one of his gap-closing abilities so that if Celeste does try to reposition, he can continue to chase and hunt her down. Taking Talk out of the mix, I think, is a little bit interesting. That's typically another hero that you would probably want to try and put onto taking down a Celeste, but we'll kind of see how they shape up the rest of this draft.
Yeah, the Grump Draw ban makes a lot of sense. It's another one of those heroes that can, if you're on the side of Rising Lotus, a lot of the times I would expect to see kind of more of a protect the carry composition when you have a Celeste and a Kroll. That's what we just saw out of Equinox. They had very much, it was about keeping the Celeste alive. So getting the Grump Draw out of the equation, that's one of those heroes that can dive onto the backline and target your carry regardless of what you have done for yourselves. So I like that ban decision. There's a Baptiste, another hero that can do a lot of work protecting your carry.
Absolutely. I said at the start of the day, Weapon Baptiste, we've seen played twice now.
Yep.
I would not be at all surprised to see it played again. This time, however, more likely than not, it is going to be played in the lane. And Salty Potatoes picking up the Kestrel, which is definitely another one of the powerhouse laners.
Yeah, and that's one of the kind of things that's really interesting about 5v5 is there's a lot of heroes that you think about and go, oh yeah, they're really good for 5v5. Oh yeah, they're really good for, and so there's so many strong picks that it really doesn't matter what gets banned away. You should still be able to draft yourself a strong composition. A lot of it then just becomes about the synergy around your team. How well do the heroes you selected work together? Are you going for a poke comp? Are you going for a burst comp? Are you looking to protect your carry? Are you looking for a hard engage composition? You have to try and build the a composition that's defined around a win condition. Whereas if you just go for individual heroes that are all strong individually, but you don't have a clear set win condition on your team, that's where you're still going to struggle regardless of who you got.
Absolutely. Whoever's in charge of draft needs to come in with a clear, concise, and focused game plan. And then it's all going to come down to execution. Are they consistently on the same page? Does everyone know how the game needs to be played in order to find and meet those win conditions? It's kind of a toss-up and kind of hard to say. Salted Potatoes, a little bit different than the previous game. Rather than trying to focus a composition that's dive heavy on to the Celeste, it seems like they're trying to counter them with a little bit of range themselves. They have the Samuel, they have the Kestrel. If they go the CP Kestrel route, that's even more range on top of it, even more range than what Celeste has. So that could be a different way that they're trying to execute this composition. Only time will tell to see exactly how they make it.
Yeah, and Lyra Samuel is another one of those combos that kind of carried over really well from 3v3. Having that extra movement speed, you can stay in your Drifting Dark for a very long time while still having a lot of mobility within that area. So a very strong kiting composition for Salty Potatoes. Like you said, that could be their goal here. Just if you kite far enough away, Celeste doesn't have a movement speed increase. She doesn't have a gap closer. She's going to be relying on getting movement speed increases from the Arden to be able to keep up with a fight if it starts to drift away from them. So that could be the way Salted Potatoes look to deal with this. Rising Lotus, all of their eggs right now are in that Celeste carry basket. So if they move a fight away from Celeste, they could then just get far enough away, wait for their opportunity, and then just turn and re-engage.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the Salty Potatoes, with this extra range, they have the Lyra on top of it. So she's going to be able to continuously heal them, allow them to sustain through any of the heliogeneses that are coming out of the Celeste. And whenever she sees Kroll try and go in, she just drops the Bright Bulwark, prevents him from using his A, getting that barrier. And that could potentially be a huge problem for the side of Rising Lotus.
And there's going to be an Alpha as the final pick. Doesn't really fit with the kite away composition style, but it does give them a little bit of that early game strength, a little bit of that lane matchup. Because if you fall too far behind in the early game, it doesn't matter how well your team composition can fight. You're just going to be kiting all the way back to your fountain and then losing the game. So you have to have a little bit of that early game pressure. And again, we're going to be seeing the Catherine Arden combo come out, and Rising Lotus, again, the one concern I have for this composition is a very strong composition, but it is all about the Celeste. And if Celeste doesn't get a big lead, they don't stand a chance.
Exactly. And similar to last game as well, it's not just the Catherine and the Arden. They still have the Baptiste with that as well. We saw a couple times in the last game lining up the Blast Tremor Fear combination. That's something that the side of Salty Potatoes is really going to have to watch out for. And if their Crucibles are not on point, if they're not blocking the Blast Tremors, they are going to lose these team fights.
Now that we have our selections, what's jumping out at you?
I mean, I think, again, first of all, the big
Absolutely.
Celeste carry.
Absolutely.
If you don't have that Celeste get online early, if you don't protect her from the start, it becomes a very difficult game. And on the side of Salty Potatoes, they need to recognize that. They need to put everything into stopping the Celeste, because if they can keep her down, they have an easy path to victory.
Reza and Alpha super strong at ganking, especially earlier on into the game. If they are able to pick up a bunch of kills on his Celeste, put her behind their own mid laner, that's going to allow them to scale much better into the late game, allow their ranged carries to come online so that they can combat the Celeste damage later on into the game.
Is there anything else that is there anything you're expecting to see from this particular matchup? Are you expecting a certain movement pattern or a specific strategy to come out here?
I think this is going to be very similar to the last game, where it's kind of not stagnant, but we're not going to be seeing a ton of all-in team fights until we start to get to those later levels. Once you get to level 6, level 8, those big power spikes, the first tier 3 items, that's when fights will start going off. But up until then, it's going to be both teams really just trying to focus on farming and getting as far ahead as they can for that moment.
Absolutely. And Flash, is there anything that you think the team should be careful of, that they should try and avoid?
I fully expect the side of Rising Lotus to invade early and often. They have a great level 1 team fighting composition in the Arden, the Baptiste, the Catherine. It's a lot of crowd control very early on, that if Salty Potatoes aren't very careful and very aware of their positioning at all times, they can get caught out very easily.
Yeah, and how are you feeling about the way the 5v5s have been going in comparison to the 3v3s? Just very quickly.
I think they've been going really well. Similar game time to 3 versus 3, which is something that I personally enjoy as a player very much. People had concerns it was going to go much longer, but people are able to figure it out and execute exactly how they need to.
Yeah, let's see if they can execute that plan right now. We are tossing over to the game. Let's see if they can get that done.
All right, we are on to Sovereign's Rise for game number 3, our final game for Europe. Of course, don't go anywhere after Europe is finished, because we will still be having those 3 North American games coming up a little bit later. But right now, it is all about Salty Potatoes going head-to-head against Rising Lotus. Dragonborn once again back with me to get us underway.
Thank you, Tasty. Yeah, we're back on the Rise, and already a little bit of a skirmish breaking out here. We see this, a lot of teams try to contest those first couple of creeps in the jungle. And you see right there, wow, first blood.
Very early first blood coming through, but the fight is not over. Sneaky, he's going to get the target, and he's going to be dropping as well. So 1 kill apiece does lead to a slight edge in terms of the kill gold to the side of Salty Potatoes, but you see Rising Lotus, they may not be done here. They're going to be looking to try and invade onto this Crystal Treant, see if they can get themselves that Crystal buff to start the game off. You see Aristocratic and Aeon going to be looking to try and defend. It will go over to the side of Rising Lotus, and it does go on to Solicitude as well, so that's going to be a nice little advantage as long as they can get out of here safely. You see Sneaky, he's joined this fight as well, just to try and make sure that Rising Lotus gets out of this jungle, allows Salty Potatoes to clean up the rest of those monsters.
Yo, who said EU was a passive region? This team, these 2 teams specifically, both very aggressive. This is probably the most action we've seen in the first 2 minutes this week or today.
5v5 is a new game mode, and Europe has taken that to heart. There's a bit of a reset for everything. Europe has fully gone on board with this reset. They have a completely different play style from what we saw in 3v3. Keanu Nakoa, he's going to be in a world of trouble, so he gets caught out in the river, and that will be another kill for Salty Potatoes. 3-1 now in just the first 2.5 minutes.
It's a lot of kills, a lot of action. I think they're going to start to slow down here a little bit. We see The Kestrel down here at the bot, just looking at the farm. Up here, some recalls back as everyone starts to buy their first couple of items. And we'll see, it is going to be Joker's picking up the weapon items here.
Yeah, it looks like it. And again, I want to talk about the rosters a little bit. Some of the names you may recognize from both VG8
Absolutely.
and from the VGL. A couple of new names, but names like Cracks, Aristocratic, Esquire, they've been around the block a few times. So again, new opportunities for some of these players to come out and perform in VPL.
A lot of these guys actually in both these rosters are former 3v3 pros looking to make the transition to 5v5, and so far I love what I see. The Vision game, we haven't talked a lot about it, Tasty. It is absolutely imperative.
Cracks just getting deleted by the Kestrel. That's the thing you have to be worried about with a Kestrel. Early game, her damage is insane. But before we go really into the Vision, I do also want to touch on, as we get another little fight here around the mid lane, is, again, where people are kind of focusing their attention. We've seen so much focus on this bottom lane across all 3 games thus far. That really seems to be where teams are trying to get victories to be able to scale up into the late game.
A lot of pros have talked to me about just being comfortable in the bottom lane. Bottom mid's really that kind of harder. You got 2 lanes on top and bottom of you, so it's a little bit unique. Vision is completely new for 5v5, and no longer do we have mines that blow up when you walk over them. We have scout cams, and they grant Vision. It's a bit of a Vision war game inside of this other war game that's going on that you really have to focus on how teams manage it, making sure that they have that Vision early. It allows them to rotate and get some of this farm. You see right here.
Speaking of rotating, that's going to be a little bit of a skirmish over this Crystal Orb. It does go the way of Rising Lotus, and now they find themselves a kill as they take down Lyra very quickly. The Joker going to get dropped low as well, but Rising Lotus, they take away not only the Treant, but now they're going to clear out as much of the jungle as they can as well, just looking to deny gold opportunities from their opponents.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this matchup in the mid lane here. Celeste versus the Samuel, those are those 2 premier laners for the mid, and they really have their own strengths and weaknesses. Bottom lane, more action. Kratz
going to be in some trouble. One shot is going to go a little wide, so nice job by Kratz to dodge that one out. And he's going to be able to stay alive, but again, the Joker constantly coming down, rotating through the jungle, and looking to make plays in that bottom lane in order to get this Kestrel ahead.
Absolutely. That mid lane match, though, is what I was talking about. Looking forward to see how that plays out. Both those laners, if played correctly, have very, very strong power spikes that they hit right about the same time. So excited to see this. 3-man rotation on the bot to get that turret. I think they might secure it. Catherine's down there to contest.
Yeah, but Cracks hasn't really been,
doesn't
really have the defense to stick around. After the last 2 skirmishes, got taken down so low so quickly. You can see Cracks never really even wanted to defend it. It was trying to buy time for the rest of the team to rotate. But great job by Salty Potato spotting that rotation starting and immediately moving to counter it and answer and prevent anything from happening. And now it's a lot of damage getting done. The Mad Vagabond going to go a little low. Solicitude throws out the Solar Storm. Doesn't find any damage. A one-shot will tag Solicitude. Drop him down low. Cracks has rotated up, but now the top lane has rotated down to the mid as well. Keanu Nakoa going to try and get himself to the safety of this turret, but he can't quite get there in time.
Yeah, and he got spotted out early there, Tasty. Before he could get into the bush, he couldn't get the engage on. Cruel does not like running from a fight, that's for sure.
Yeah, not at all. He wants to start from that brush, get that hero perk, but nice damage going down into Esquire and Aristocratic, but they're looking to get damage onto this turret. Aeon taking up a couple turret shots. They will have to back away as they lose their minions there. But now again, Salty Potatoes, they're going to look to try and take away this Crystal Treant. They've had theirs stolen away multiple times, but it's going to be a skirmish for it. It does end up going over to the side of Rising Lotus. So Lotus has done a really good job of keeping those buffs on their side.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen. All of the early game aggression was around those buffs, trying to make sure that you could secure those quickly. A lot of attention to that. Kiona going to be able to get that weapon buff. That was a close 2v1 actually. Surprised he got away with it.
He just kind of walked in and stole it with a quick little a basic attack, really just stealing it away. The empowered basic attack from the brush does do a little bit of extra damage, and Joker and Sneaky were not able to secure that objective, but they will finally get themselves a Crystal Orb, although it was very nearly stolen away by that Solar Storm coming through.
Yeah, that was very close. Great job. I love just how you see some of Salty Potatoes, they'll move into positions to get some of that ambient gold and experience. You still share that golden experience, so trying to just keep your team in close proximity can be a strategy we can see teams utilize to maximize their gold payout.
Now the rotation back to the mid lane. You see a lot of members from both teams going to be in this area. There's a rotation coming down from the top, but it's going to get spotted by Keanu.
Sneaky gets out, though.
Sneaky does get out. Now Keanu, he's going to be trying to just stay in this fight as long as he can. It's going to be a big healing going down. Keanu's going low. Great gauntlet's going to come down, and that's going to be a couple of kills, one going either way. As the fight continues, Joker using the ultimate, looking to take out Tenacian. He does get that kill. Solicitude is going to be still very healthy, though, and throwing out damage with those Helios. Joker going low, but they can't quite find the kill. Advantage once again to Salty Potatoes when it comes to the team fight.
Yeah, great job keeping that fight. A lot of damage came out early on from Salty, and you started to see it kind of turn. Great gauntlet to kind of break up the fight, but they stayed together. Oh, Joker.
Dude wanted to get that kill with the ultimate, didn't quite find it, and now they could be in trouble. Krax is going to go very low. Nice from Hell's Heart onto Esquire. He's going to get the Celeste low. Can't use that active camo just yet. He's going to get out safely, though. Here comes the Reza, but he's on his own in the middle of the enemy team. That's not where you want to be. One shot will get blocked by Keanu Nakoa, and that's going to be one kill going to Rising Lotus, and everything should be, calming down a little bit, and Rising Lotus should be able to actually look for maybe get some objective control, get these minion waves under control. As you see top lane very far pushed up in favor of Salty Potatoes.
Yeah, and the objectives right now in favor of Salty Potatoes is so one-sided. 9-6, they have not lost a single turret. Rising Lotus needs to find some kind of traction here. In these fights, you kind of see it go both ways. Like, it's starting to even out a little bit, but the gold lead by itself is going to be a big factor when we see these 5v5 matchups if they do go full team fights here into the mid game.
Yeah, and again, we're going to have to keep our eye on Solicitude. That's the key for this Rising Lotus side, is can the Celeste stay safe? Can she continuously output damage while keeping herself safe? That's going to be the difficulty for them. And thus far, Salty Potatoes have done a really good job of, they haven't gotten the kills on the Solicitude, but they've effectively taken the Celeste out of these fights, and it has allowed them to find kills onto other targets instead. Nomad Vagabond, he's going to be low as this Ghost Wing goes down very low as well. Solar Storm's not going to steal it away, and that will be the Ghost Wing to the side of Salty Potatoes, and now they're looking for fights. They find a kill. They do lose out on a turret, but they're going to be looking for blood, as it's Solicitude and Nomad Vagabond both low, but then they say, you know what, Keanu Nakoa, he's in the middle of our team. We'll take what we can get, and then continue chasing. Solicitude going to get caught by the Alpha. Kestrel will find that kill. Nomad Vagabond still trying to run away as this Arden, and looks like they're going to let him go eventually, because you know what? It's not worth chasing that kill through the jungle when you can go and look for turrets.
Yeah, this is a big surprise. Salty Potatoes, with no turrets down prior to that Ghostwing attack, they really should have had control over Ghostwing location. They knew it was on the map. They didn't. They gave it up to Rising Lotus. Rising Lotus now, you're starting to come back into this, able to take their first objective turret-wise.
Yeah, they did get that first objective, but it was actually Salty Potatoes that got the Ghost Wing, and now they're looking for more. A Gauntlet is going to come through. The Solar Storm goes right by the team fight. That is not what you want to see happen if you're the side of Rising Lotus. They do find one kill out of this, though. Esquire is going to be their next target, but they're starting to turn it around. That's going to be 2 quick kills found by Salty Potatoes. Sneaky doing a lot of damage in this fight as well. It is a 2 for 2, but you see the health for the side of Rising Lotus not quite as healthy as the members of Salty Potatoes. So Salty Potatoes, they're going to try and stick around. See Esquire sneaking around the side, looking for a pick opportunity, but he's going to get found out.
Yeah, but the fights are starting to even up, Tasty, and that's what's important for Rising Lotus. The Celeste, I feel like her matchup later is going to be better than the Samuel. Typically later in the game, Samuel is very, very strong, does a lot of damage, but doesn't have the same kind of crowd control that Celeste brings out. The AoE that Celeste is going to have once she puts 3 points into her ultimate, that is where you start to see Rising Lotus find their comfort here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that last fight. It was very much even, and that was with a Celeste ultimate completely whiffing. So if that ultimate is on point, if that ends up going through the entirety of Salty Potatoes, that could be a potentially very different team fight. Krax still going to be on his own down in this bottom lane. He's going to be paying for it pretty heavily. That's going to be a kill found eventually as they just chase him down. Joker and Esquire, they have been really just making life very difficult for this Catherine.
Absolutely. We got more action on the top as well.
That's Tenacious. A very short little portal, but it's just what they need to get the kill on to the Batiste. Now down bottom, looks like Esquire and Joker, they're looking for a turret, but they're getting a little bit of resistance there from the side of Rising Lotus, but not quite enough. The Joker might still end up going down here if Keanu Nakoa can get there in time, but it has to stop to get that heroic perk going. He doesn't have a lot of movement speed. He didn't prioritize upgrading his boots, which is very surprising for a Krull. Usually you want to get those boots upgraded as quickly as you can, but Keanu's still on just tier 1 boots. Isn't going to be able to have that movement speed that he really needs to get involved, but I see a lot of damage getting dropped down. Solar Storm is going to just hit Esquire, and however, they've found some damage onto Aristocratic. Esquire trying to come back through the bottom, but he's not going to get there. That's a nice from Hell's Heart just to secure the kill. Ghostwing is back up, so this looks like Rising Lotus may be trying to get this objective, but the 4 remaining members of Salted Potatoes are here. Samuel's going to be looking to do a lot of damage. Big blocks coming through, but it's not going to matter. Salted Potatoes find the kill onto the Celeste, and once Celeste is down, there's just no damage really remaining for the side of Rising Lotus. They have to try and get away from here.
Yeah, back it away. They're looking to be able to secure this Ghostwing. Great job by Salty to kind of clear that out in the fight. You know, you don't need to commit to the objective. You just need to commit to getting the positioning you need kill-wise. 2 kills easy off the board. Push Rising Lotus back. Rising Lotus looked like they started to gain some leverage here, Tasty, but very quickly, Salty Potatoes have done a good job at just starting to reposition here in the jungle, making sure they don't give up that. And now they've got a nice mid-wave push looking to go through. This is an easy turret.
Yeah, absolutely easy turret, but now Aristocratic, he's going to be a target here. The rest of Rising Lotus is back up, but again, the priority for Salted Potatoes is that Celeste. If they can take Celeste out of the fight, they win the team fight. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what we saw around that Ghostwing. At the moment Celeste went down, Rising Lotus knew that they could not continue to try and fight that. They had to back away. So that's going to need to be the focus for both Salted Potatoes and for Rising Lotus, is focusing that Celeste. Right. They are making a very strong push. They saw an opportunity here with Rising Lotus going to the bot lane, all 5 members shoving this mid wave very, very hard. They're going to get into this armory turret and take that down, but now here comes Salted Potatoes. Can they get out is the question. A nice gauntlet is going to keep them at bay. But the fight is continuing. A big Oblivion is going to go through. Does get blocked for the most part. We're going to be having this fight continuing. They do get a kill onto the Alpha, and looks like Krull will be going down as well. Lots of low health bars for the side of Rising Lotus. And Krax is just going to get out. Solicitude still very healthy. Did recall back because there was a push in the bottom lane being done by Salted Potatoes while all that was going on.
Yeah, that was a huge, huge fight for Salty to stop that engage, stop that push, and kick those 2 kills. Oh, they get a third. So this is not looking good for Rising Lotus because now they have an open lane on the bot. They're right into their crystal with no armory, and it looks like they are clear to take this Black Claw that we saw landing.
This could be a very risky take, though, because there is only 2 members currently working on it. They could potentially have a third here, but they're not going to take this super, super quickly. You see the respawn starting to come through. Members of Rising Lotus, they're approaching the Black Claw. It's only at about half health. There will be a steal attempt. Solar Storm goes on through a little bit early because they didn't have the vision, and it will be Black Claw unleashed by Salty Potatoes. If they can find another fight, this game will be over, Dragonborn. And Rising Lotus, they are on the back foot now without those big ultimates available. See Gauntlet down, Blast Tremor down. The Solar Storm will be back up in just a few seconds, but without those other 2 big ultimates, this could be troubling.
So close. They burned so many ultimates.
Oh, look at what Salty Potatoes are doing. They're letting the Black Claw push on its own. They say, you know what? You have to answer either Black Claw or us. We're going to either take your Vein Crystal or you're going to lose some turrets. This is really smart play from Salty Potatoes, splitting their opponents, making them have to make a decision. And here we go. They're now rotating over to join Black Claw, take down those turrets. This could be a game-ending fight if Salty Potatoes win this one. It's very split up, very hectic, very chaotic. You see Aristocratic using the portals to come out. Keanu Nakoa is completely split from the rest of his team, but he's taken Aeon out of the fight. Meanwhile, in the base, Black Claw has gotten through that first armory turret. It is on to now the Vein Crystal. Actually should be on the armory, and he's a little bit of a visual issue there with the Black Claw, but he's working on the armory. There is going to be this fight continuing on the bottom. It is all over the place, Dragonborn. They get the armory down. Black Claw will now be the target for Rising Lotus. They have defended this push for now, but their base is ruined.
Oh my goodness. I mean, when you have that open lane, you could do that. You can split push with the Black Claw, and that's exactly what Salted Potatoes did there. Rising Lotus had no recourse. If anything, I think they got out of this in the best circumstances they could. They weren't able to secure kills because Salty Potatoes did a great job of just dispersing once that Black Claw had pushed into that armory, and they were able just to kind of keep all members of Rising Lotus kind of running all over the place, trying to chase down kills, really just bought them time.
Yeah, I mean, you say that they came out of this in one of the best case scenarios. The other option was that they lost the game.
Exactly.
So if you're still in the game, you still have a chance. But it was actually, I want to emphasize what Keanu Nakoa did there. You know, I said he got split away from the rest of the team, but he kept 2 members of Salty Potatoes preoccupied that entire time. So a great job by Keanu there, just surviving. Now with Ghostwing up, looks like we're going to have another fight. That's a heavy engagement. They've taken down Celeste right off the bat. Salty Potatoes, this is a nightmare for Rising Lotus now. With just Celeste down, I don't think they're going to care about the rest of the members. They're just going to go in and likely look to finish this game. If they find another kill or 2, that'd be great, but that would just be gravy at this point. They are going in onto this base. Rising Lotus is going to do what they can to try and defend this, but it is just not going to work out. They find a kill onto Keanu Nakoa. They're continuing to just look for these kills, finally starting to get the damage onto the Vein Crystal, and this will be the 3rd and final game of Europe. This one will be Salty Potatoes taking the victory, spoiling the return of Rising Lotus.
Really clean game from Salty Potatoes there, just absolutely coming in dominating. What a fantastic match.
Yeah, absolutely great job by Salty Potatoes, recognizing your opponent's win condition and playing